Today we're going to talk about Amazon's broken return process for sellers and how buyers are actually taking advantage, committing fraud on the return side and driving sellers off of Amazon and hurting all of the rest of us that purchase on Amazon, causing our costs to actually go up. Yeah, welcome into the channel, Rockstars. This video is going to absolutely rattle some of you, a lot of you actually, that do shopping on Amazon, that sell on Amazon, or maybe just have an opinion about Amazon. It's all about their return fraud and how buyers return products, how they commit fraud, how they lie about it, how they send back disgusting, poop-filled items, all sorts of things that you won't even believe are happening. I did a video, which I'll link down in the description box below and the pinned comment a couple months ago that went super viral on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everywhere. It has like almost 30 million combined views about a young lady that sold stroller bags and had a problem with return buyer fraud abuse and how it drove her out of business because of all of these problems. Well, now we're gonna see exactly what she's talking about in real time. This video was put up by CNBC just a couple days ago. It's gone super mega viral, millions of views. And I want you to see this behind the scenes look at Amazon's return process and exactly why most of the sellers that are third party like me get screwed and why a lot of buyers, like some of you watching, have to pay more money because of the other dishonest buyers who are committing this return fraud and exactly what happens when you return an item. It's pretty interesting. Let's take a look.
This facility is 70,000 square feet. It's all baby gear.
Inside Goodbye Gear's sprawling Pennsylvania warehouse.
These are accessories for strollers, humidifiers. These are play yard sheets.
These 60,000 boxes aren't filled with your typical new baby products. Nearly all of them are returns.
9 years ago, all of this was going into the landfill.
They're rigorously inspected before being resold or tossed.
That looks like a poop stain. I'm not exactly sure what that is, so.
Kristen Langenfeld has spent 9 years building a business out of helping others figure out the messy, expensive chaos of returns. She plans to get 200,000 items to a second home this year.
So when we're quality checking the items, it walks through 50 different checks in some cases.
It's a problem the world's biggest online retailer can't.
That's crazy. 50 different checks that she does on some of these products when they come in. So essentially, if you don't know what's going on here, she's handling returns for other sellers. And so it looks like she specializes in the baby and kids gear sector categories. And she basically has your returns shipped back to her. And she will inspect them and resell them and probably has some sort of profit sharing or cost sharing where she helps people recover some of the cost of what they've absorbed in the return process. And then she, of course, will make some of her money. She's got a 60,000 square foot building, looks like dozens of employees and a 50-step process. Her labor and her overhead must be insane. She must keep a big percentage and do a lot of sales. Let's keep going.
Seem to figure out. Amazon handles returns for the vast majority of its sellers. But when Amazon gets it wrong, the seller suffers the consequences.
So there was actually 2 diapers that were sent out that were poopy.
Rochelle Barron sells reusable swim diapers. When Amazon failed to catch dried poop in a returned diaper, Amazon sent it as new to one of Barron's customers. The bad review nearly took out her business.
Okay, so explaining to you, I'm just gonna try to stop this as least as possible, but to explain that to you, she sells these reusable diapers, she sold them to somebody, that person clearly used them, their kid pooped in them, and they returned them. Do you see the problem here? You got people buying this stuff, using it and returning it. You think a lady buying a dress for a wedding to use for the weekend, wearing it and ripping the tags off, sending it back is bad? That's bad enough, like using you as a rent the runway, right? But giving your kids a reusable diaper and then letting them poop in it and sending it back, that's absolutely disgusting. And that's not just disgusting as a behavior of like, hey, my kid did this and I'm too dirty and disgusting, but as a person who bought that and thought it was okay to send that back after your kids used it, once you buy that and you use a reusable diaper, it is yours. Stop being so cheap that you had to return what is probably what, a $10, $15, $20 item? Like, come on guys, that's ridiculous. And then the worst part is when she got that back, she used FBA, which is fulfilled by Amazon. That's where Amazon stores your product in their warehouse. They ship it out for you. And if there's a return, they bring it back into the building and they inspect it. And if it's good to go and it can be resold, they'll put it back on the shelf, sell it again. Because a lot of times people will buy something, they just don't like it, they pack it back up, they send it in. It's perfectly fine to resell, right? Even if you have to resell it as open box for a few dollars less, it's still okay. Clearly, the Amazon employees didn't even look at that, or they would have seen a poop in a diaper. They put it back on the shelf, it's sold, it's shipped out to another customer who got it and goes, ew, this is disgusting. But they don't understand that that seller who they just gave a 1-star review to, which you see on the screen, is not responsible for what just happened. That is actually Amazon's fault, but they don't know that. And so here you go. That was where they got their 1-star review, which crushed their business. So if you ever do buy on Amazon, you get something bad that comes in, check what the reason was, what the fault was. Message the seller, message Amazon. Find out what happened before you just go hog wild on reviews. Trust me.
We were at about 1 million in sales. And then after the review happened, we tanked.
Returns fraud, like returning a soiled diaper, is on the rise amidst the ease and anonymity of online shopping. Retailers say nearly 14% of returns were fraudulent in 2024, up from just 5% in 2018.
I really don't think that consumers understand how their return habits affect small businesses and families.
They don't care. They know how it affects it. I read the comments on my 100,000 comments on my viral videos. They understand that it's hurting small sellers. They simply don't care. People are disgusting.
Is like mine.
Then there's the immense cost. Between new return fees on Amazon, multi-step reverse shipping, and the labor for proper inspections, it's often easier for sellers to just tell customers to keep it, or for it to end up in a landfill. Returns generated an estimated 29 million metric tons of carbon emissions, and 9.8 billion pounds of returns ended up in landfills in 2024, according to reverse logistics software provider Optoro. But now, some small changes on Amazon may be bringing gradual relief.
About 16 months ago, return rates on Amazon has been getting a lot better for us.
3 years after our last look into the mess of returns, we sat down with 7 Amazon sellers to find out what's changed as they face new fees, rising fraud, and shrinking margins amidst ever-changing tariffs. Returns have always been a part of the shopping experience, and they've always come at great expense to retailers. But as online shopping took off, so too has the cost of returns.
A lot of the times, the return shipping, it costs more than the product itself.
Mike Jelliff and his wife Joy Lynn have been selling professional music gear and stands for more than 20 years out of their warehouse in Tyler, Texas.
Returns have always had a chance for abuse in the past, but I think now when we go online, it's much easier to do it anonymously.
Nearly 17% of sales resulted in returns in 2024, more than double the rate of 5 years ago, costing retailers some $890 billion. And it costs 30% of the price of an item to process it as a return.
That's right. It's usually, people make 25% margin, 30% margin. It costs just as much to return the item and process that as you probably made in profit. So that's where people are like, it's not even worth it. I'll just refund them and move on. It's not worth the time and the headache. Also, seeing that the amount of returns, the percentages and the money has doubled since 2019, I think that's specifically correlated to the pop in online sales with COVID, where COVID had those spikes where people were buying everything, and of course the returns went up. And here are my pup-pups. Hi, buddy. He got a bath today. He's not happy with me. My St. Bernard Kobe, and of course our sheepdog Milo. They always got to get in the videos. Good boys. Good boys. Yeah, so I think the COVID surge in sales and buying caused that to happen as well. Tons more buying, tons more returns. It makes sense, right? Like it's not surprising, actually. Let's keep going.
We're going to end up selling at least 2 to 3 more products just to break even on that one return.
Nearly 70% of the Jelliff's $2.8 million of annual sales happen on Amazon, where their return rate is more than 3 times the average from the other 8 marketplaces where they sell, like eBay and Walmart.
So what Amazon does is just processes a return label. Oh, you can't figure it out. Here's a return label.
Yep, absolutely true. When I sell remotes on eBay versus Amazon, my eBay return rate hovers around like 2%, maybe 2.5%. Amazon like 6%. It's 2 to 3 times. And a lot of times the Amazon people are always there. eBay, they message me and they're like, oh, how do I do this? I can send them a link. Here's how you program it. Here's the instructions. Amazon, they just open a return. They're like, this doesn't work with my TV. And I'm like, yes, it does. You just don't know how to program it right. And 9 times out of 10, that's it. I mean, sometimes it's legitimate, or they bought the wrong model, or maybe I sent a bad one, which is very rare. But most of the time, they can't figure it out.
After Amazon initiates a return, the Jelliffs have it sent to their warehouse and they process it internally. But most sellers, some 86%, use Amazon for this through a program called Fulfilled by Amazon. Like Lori Corlett, who sees 1% returns of her Hot Wheels collector cases on Walmart and nearly 4% on Amazon.
If I could leave Amazon, I would, but we need to be there for the customer base that wants to shop on Amazon.
About 40% of our business is on Amazon.
Yeah, and that makes the point. 40% of her sales are Amazon. Amazon has such a huge market share. They do like 10 times what eBay does or more. They do all the other platforms combined more than them, including eBay as a whole. And so it's so dependent on sellers to be on Amazon to get a huge amount of sales. People that sell only on eBay or only on other platforms have no idea how fast stuff sells on Amazon. You go list 1,000 of my items on eBay and you'll sell 4 or 5 a day. You go list those same 1,000 on Amazon, you'll sell 10 or 15 a day. It's crazy. Let's keep going.
I would like to shrink that business to as small a margin as possible.
5 years ago, Lisa Myers invented a special chiller to help breastfeeding moms on the go. It takes some practice to use right, so customers who buy directly on her website often reach out with questions. But direct communication between sellers and buyers on Amazon isn't so easy.
So we have less than 1% returns when we are interacting with the customer, and yet we have between 6 and 8% returns with Amazon.
Catherine Lavery sells $3 million a year worth of her best self journals and conversation game decks.
Our returns on the last year is about 4.5% on Amazon, but compared to our Shopify store, it's less than 1%. If I could choose, I would definitely be off of Amazon, but unfortunately that's where customers are.
To help cover the high cost of returns on Amazon, many sellers are raising prices.
We did increase our prices 10% solely based on the fraud.
Some 66% of retailers also started charging customers for some categories of returns last year. Amazon started charging customers a $1 fee in 2023 for some returns handled by UPS. Amazon also added a steep new returns fee for FBA sellers last year, a sort of penalty for some categories over certain return rate thresholds.
So they're charging $1 for UPS return fees that goes into their pocket, and they're charging sellers, if you're too high in a category percentage, an extra fee as well. This all makes Amazon richer, even if those fees are because of high return rates due to fraud. They don't care. And they know that people are committing the fraud, so they're just giving themselves a raise based on what they know is going to happen. That's disgusting from Amazon.
In addition to reverse shipping and processing fees, products...
I guess somebody had to pay for the wedding today for Jeff Bezos' $10-20 million wedding, right? So why not some more fees?
With higher return rates will get slapped with an additional fee based on weight, ranging from $1.65 to $160 plus.
Increasing fees in general hurts the sellers tremendously, and it eventually just passes off the cost to the consumer.
One survey by e-commerce analysis company SmartScout found that 65% of sellers said they raised prices in 2024 directly because of Amazon fee changes. But there may be a silver lining. In September, a couple months after Amazon added the new returns threshold fee, one e-commerce group saw return rates for US Amazon sellers drop nearly 5%.
It's forcing the seller to have higher quality listings and higher quality products. So Amazon probably had pretty good intent in doing this, but of course they're also looking to make more money.
Amazon's also added some new ways sellers can customize returns in recent years, which may contribute to the dip. Jelliff says his return rate spiked in 2021 because Amazon began auto-generating return shipping labels instead of sending refund requests to him for manual approval.
And that was at the spike of COVID. You know, COVID started in 2020. And by 2021, the sales had skyrocketed, and so they started that auto return label generator where people just started buying like crazy and just getting auto returns. People would buy, a girl would buy 3 t-shirts of small, medium, and large to see which one fit the best. And then she'd buy it in red, blue, and green, 9 shirts, take it up. I saw her at Amazon, return 8 of them and keep the one in the color and the size she liked. It was just disgusting.
Then in 2023, for items above $100, Amazon let him opt out of auto-generated return labels again. His return rate's been dropping since.
Now they're down to at least a much better marginal level, about 3 to 3.5%.
Building your online business? Go to Wix.com and set up your...
Also around the time his return rate started dropping, Jelliff says Amazon added some tools for fighting returns fraud cases, allowing multiple appeals and requiring photos. This was a win for Jelliff, who installed a system of 40 cameras to track every outgoing item, incoming return, and unboxing.
It is helping just keeping people honest and keeping our business afloat, and not losing inventory to falsehoods.
Last year, Amazon added extra options for FBA sellers too, such as choosing not to have any returns resold or to automatically tell customers to keep the item.
Someone's used a product, we don't really want it back. It's not even worth the shipping.
And to help cut back on returns happening in the first place, Amazon started adding a warning label to frequently returned items. But should Amazon do more to warn sellers about fraudulent customers too?
We're running at just over 1% net profit on Amazon, totally due to fraud and return abuse. It's really Amazon that's accountable at the end of the day. People would stop doing it if Amazon held them accountable.
Right, but Amazon's never going to have the buyers be accountable because the buyers are what makes Amazon what they are, and that's what they're going to continue to do. The sellers do not matter. They don't matter on eBay, they don't matter on any platform. These platforms have proven it, that the buyers run the show. And people always say, well, without sellers, where are they going to get? They'll always be sellers. They'll always have inventory, or Amazon will sell it themselves. They don't need you. They don't need me. They don't need us. They just need buyers. As long as you have buyers, the rest will work it out. You'll always find a way to supply them what they need. The hard part is selling, right? Not buying. And this lady's operating at a net 1%. She might as well just close her business. If you're only operating at 1%, you can do $1 million in sales. $1 million in sales. You're only making 10,000 bucks over the whole year. It's not even worth waking up for. Sorry.
Amazon told us it has no tolerance for fraudulent returns. It takes action against some scammers, from denying refunds to requiring customer identity verification. Return fraud takes many forms. Both Jelliff and Langenfeld set aside a hall of shame to show us the most ridiculous returns, like catfishing.
I don't know if you can see this, it's a brick. So people try to fraud the system by putting some weight in a box. This is one that was returned yesterday, and we think it's a car part.
Or the box is empty.
You can see the label here shows 10 pounds. It's completely empty.
Then there's wardrobing, using an item for a specific event, then returning it.
People that sell Halloween costumes, which is probably the worst thing to sell on Amazon, and they get, oh, I bought it by mistake the next day after it's been opened and used.
A whopping 64% of shoppers in 2024 admitted to wardrobing at least
64% of all shoppers admit to doing this once a month. Not even once, period. Once a month, to buying stuff to rent. Selling clothes on the internet is a tough business. I got away from it. I sell very, very little clothing, if at all any. Every once in a while we ship stuff. I'm selling stuff that people can't use and then just send back because it only has like a one-time possible use. If you buy a remote control from me, why would you buy a remote just to use it for one weekend, right? Like, that's silly. You're buying a remote because you want to use it with your TV for a while. It's not something you're really going to return, right? Sports cards, trading cards, postcards. People aren't buying those to show them off to their buddies for a week and then send it back to me over a $5 or $10 item, right? Or a $20 item. It just doesn't make sense. So clothing, shoes, they can buy them, use them for the weekend and send them back. That's tough. Even like a jewelry piece or a watch could be something that somebody wants to rent for the weekend to go to a nice party with a nice Breitling that was $3,000 and then send it back to you. Those are tough markets, guys, tough.
Once a month. That's nearly 3 times more than in 2023. And 75% said they embellished or exaggerated the reason for making a return. Optoro also told CNBC that wardrobing is expected to go up as sellers raise prices because of tariffs. But most commonly, items returned as new are used or damaged.
That sound is not good.
So I'm gonna put gloves on because some of these are kind of gross.
Used baby items can be especially problematic.
This is a bassinet here. You can see there's some throw up on here. This is a car seat that's broken. This is a Cerise Chill. There's actually milk in there. It's not even dry, it's still milk. We wouldn't wanna sell that.
But Series Chill inventor Myers says while she was using FBA in 2023, Amazon did resell one with someone else's rotten breast milk inside.
For her to say that she will never forget that smell and to have something so, and I don't mean to be dramatic, but dangerous, somebody else's bodily fluids in your kitchen, rotting.
This is another example of she sold this breast milk container to someone, they used it, they were being cheap and idiots and then sent it back as a return for whatever reason, and they didn't clean it out and they sent it back. Amazon accepted the return. No one inspected it. It got put back on the shelf. It got resold and someone else received this breast milk container with rotting breast milk in it from somebody else.
And something that you had intended to use for your child is unacceptable.
For returns like this, disposal makes sense.
At the moment, I broke down crying and just sat down and thought, I have no idea how this could have happened. We did, after that point, not engage in any more FBA sales.
After that customer left a bad review, Myers started outsourcing all her returns to Goodbye Gear, leaving behind the benefits of FBA like the Prime Badge.
It hurts our business to not participate in Fulfilled by Amazon. It's just we're not willing to put profit over the safety and, frankly, mental health of our customers.
One bad experience like that could ruin a brand.
Langenfeld started Goodbye Gear when she was a new mom struggling to find a good quality used jogging stroller. When she first visited a returns warehouse 5 years ago,
Taped on the floor, like signs that said, incinerate, destroy. And you see pallets of perfectly good strollers and car seats and baby gear that was on there.
because she specializes only in baby gear, Langenfeld knows what to look for.
We've spent the last 9 years building out a database that has all of the products and the variations, the common issues, the recalls. For some of these, there's 40 points that we inspect on the item itself, and it's really complicated.
I will give this lady credit. She went into a market, baby gear, that's gross, disgusting, can be bad returns. Safety recalls, of course, are huge for the safety of children. But man, this is a really crazy category that she chose, and she went gung-ho. She's successful, obviously, and built a software to identify the problems and save them in her computer. Good for her, because there ain't no way I would be doing that.
Each item is handled by 4 employees and inspected for about 15 minutes. But the resource-intensive process is paying off. She says 33 new sellers signed up in 2024, 3 times more than the previous year. And with business growing 50% year over year, she's upgrading to a bigger warehouse in Columbus, Ohio.
I think today what's happened with the tariffs and that's really a forcing function to say that the brands are...
Although I will say a 60,000 square foot warehouse, and she's sitting in what appears to be 30,000 empty square feet, she might be trying to grow too fast, too soon, too fast, too fast, too soon. She needs to slow down. If she's not using all that warehouse space, she doesn't need that space. She's overdoing it.
They're having to figure out how they can make more margin on items, and returns being double digit sometimes. They have to figure out ways to recoup that.
Goodbye Gear sends details and photos of all inspected returns to the brand so they can choose how to handle the return fraudsters.
Make sure that they don't keep doing that to more retailers.
But instead of outsourcing returns to a specialist like Goodbye Gear, the vast majority of Amazon sellers rely on FBA, where the sheer volume of packages precludes Amazon from the same level of customization.
Amazon has millions of different products that are being sold, and what to look for on each product to judge it being sellable or unsellable, they're actually not qualified to make some of those decisions.
Because it's such a large operation, things are missed. I think they're probably missed on the margins, but these stories are very impactful because it is such a reckoning for the brand.
Could you imagine Amazon warehouse workers who make $15 or $20 an hour stopping to inspect all those baby items and knowing what to look for and getting it right? Of course they're not going to. No wonder breast milk got left inside of one of those thermos chiller container, whatever it was. Not surprising, right? Not really intentional. They didn't do it on purpose, but they don't have the time, the payroll, the manpower, the labor to do what this lady is doing.
There's just very little control you have for your returned goods, and what happens, happens.
Amazon has faced criticism for destroying millions of pounds of unused products. In 2022, Amazon told us it was working towards a goal of 0 product disposal, but wouldn't give a timeline. 3 years later, it's still in the works, with Amazon telling us in a statement, the vast majority of returns are resold as new or used, returned to selling partners, liquidated, or donated. In 2020, Amazon did add 2 new options for sellers to rehome returns. Grade and Resell allows all U.S. FBA sellers to have Amazon rate the return and mark it as used before reselling it. FBA Liquidation allows sellers to recoup some losses by offloading pallets of goods for resale on the secondary market through liquidation partners like Liquidity Services, where we got a tour in 2022.
The reason the circular economy exists is to make sure these items find a home and keep it out of the landfill system.
There's also an FBA donations program that's been around since 2019, allowing sellers to automatically offer eligible overstock and returns to charity groups through a nonprofit called Good 360. Amazon says these seller programs give a second life to more than 300 million items a year. In 2022, Amazon also told us no items are sent to landfill.
There are a number of items that we can't recover or...
Does anybody believe that Amazon doesn't send anything to a landfill? Hands up in the comments. I don't believe it. It's crazy. Now, they also talk about liquidations there and wholesale. I used to buy pallets. Some of it was Amazon, some of it was. This is years ago. It's become a crapshoot now. I don't recommend it in 2025. Back in 2018, 2019, 2020, when I was doing like $700, $800, $1 million on Amazon a year, absolutely, I would have recommended it. Nowadays, there's just too many people, too much competition, too many people cherry picking them. It's not great. As a side note, I do have a bunch of wholesale inventory for sale. Sports cards, Pokemon cards. I have 50,000 Pokemon cards, sterling silver, jewelry, wedding rings, Hot Wheels cars, a ton of stuff. If you're interested in any of that, just shoot me an email, rockstarflipper@gmail.com, and I'll get you the full list out with photos and descriptions of all those lots. I would like to sell a lot of it before the end of the month, so we just got a few more days. Hit me up immediately, and I can send you invoices, links, whatever you need. Let's finish this video up, and then we'll get your comments in the comment section.
Recyclable, and for reasons such as legal reasons or hygienic reasons or even product damage. And in those cases, we do pursue energy recovery for those items.
Energy recovery means you burn something to produce heat, to produce energy, and you rationalize disposal of goods as a conversion from one form of matter to another. To the degree they're doing that, I don't think they fully reveal.
It is our absolute last resort, both economically as well as environmentally.
Amazon is far from alone in this practice. In 2022, we visited an energy recovery facility where major corporate clients burned their waste to avoid the landfill. The steam harnessed by one facility can power up to 65,000 homes for a year.
Now, I'm totally on board for that. If they can burn it and produce energy, let's do it. But sending it to the landfill and claiming you're not sending anything at all to landfill is pretty deceptive, because I just don't believe it. I'm not buying it.
For shoppers wanting to keep returns from incineration or landfills, Amazon has options. Amazon Resale has used and open box goods. Amazon Renewed sells refurbished items. Amazon Outlet sells overstock, and tongue-in-cheek daily deal site Woot, bought by Amazon for $110 million in 2010, sells things like scratched and dented items and a bag of crap. Customers can also trade in certain electronics like Amazon devices, phones, and tablets for Amazon gift cards, or send them to Amazon's certified recycler.
I hope the change that we're able to make as a country is that we stop making crap. Like less of a disposable society where we just buy things and throw them out. We should make high quality products that are meant for resale.
Thanks to CNBC for that. Katie Tarasov, great job, and edited by Mike Heffron. Amazing job there by them. Look, or we make products that people want to keep, or we stop people from being shitty buyers. How about that? That's, no pun intended, but that's the ultimate answer. I hate the way that it works, and this is just the way that Amazon handles it to make themselves the most money, protect themselves, and leave all the responsibility up to sellers. And if you're a crappy buyer, or you're somebody watching this who didn't understand how the process worked and who you were hurting, or you're somebody who's going to jump in those comments as a troll and go, oh, well, I don't care, screw you, I'm returning it, they allow it. Don't be a shitty person. Like, just be better, do better, right? Anyhow, that's the video. That's my message to you guys and girls today. Email me for that wholesale lot of inventory I have for sale. It's all quality. We inspect everything. It's all my own inventory. Rockstarflipper@gmail.com. I'll get you that list out there. Sports cards, Pokemon cards, jewelry, wedding rings, Hot Wheels, a couple other lots that we want to sell. So hit me up for that. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. It is TGIF Friday, June 27, 2025. And until next time, guys, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.